All right, so example number 5 here is just going to be how to list all users on the system. Okay, so this is actually a pretty quick, simple script. Okay, first thing is we're going to be doing is we're going to be assigning a variable. We're going to start a for loop. And in that for loop, we're going to do an echo statement, and then we're going to use the let command to assign a value. And that's it, okay? So obviously there's a little bit more going on here. But I'm going to explain that as we write it up, all right? So let's go ahead and jump to our virtual box here. So we're going to do vim. We're going to name this one user list.sh. Always start every single script with our hash pling or shebang. We're going to go ahead and make a variable called password underscore file. And we're going to set that equal to an actual file, which is etsy/passwd. Now remember, etsy/passwd, etsy/passwd is a real file, and that's where it contains all the users, their home directory, their passwords, and more info. So this is a real file. We're going to set another variable. It's going to be in equal to 1. This is going to be the user number. We're going to go ahead and start our for loop. So for name in. Now remember, this is where the variable is stored for the for loop, right? Typically we use like I or J or H or some kind of letter. In this case, we're going to call it name, which is fine. You can use anything in that spot for a variable in a for loop. So this time we're going to use the variable name. So we're going to say for name in. We're going to go ahead and assign another variable. We're going to use the awk command to print out a certain part of the text in Etsy password. So we're going to say begin square bracket fs equals quotation mark colon quotation mark square bracket. We're going to print the first column or first field, single quote. Okay, so we're closing that part out. Okay. And we're going to redirect the password file variable to that awk command, okay? So this variable and the thing assigned to it, which in this case it's Etsy password, right? So Etsy password file is going to get redirected to this awk command, and it's going to go through the options we set up for the awk command. So fs equals field separator. So it's going to use the colon as a field separator. We're going to print the first field. Okay. And so it's going to tell us what users are in that file, okay? So let's go ahead and tell this for loop what to do. So for name in that file, do echo user hashtag or pound sign $in. So remember, variable in is equal to 1. User 1 equals, and then we're going to say the variable name. Okay. Now, where's this variable name coming from? Well, it's coming from this for loop, right? So this variable name is going to go through this and iterate through this, and it'll be stored here. In is coming from here, so it's 1. Okay. So user 1 is going to be equal to, and the first name in that list. Okay. We're going to close out that echo statement. We're going to do let. So you're probably thinking, well, it's just going to run the first user, right? Well, that's where this comes into place. We're going to say let in equal to 1 plus equal 1, okay? So it's saying make it equal to 1 and then add 1 each time. We're going to close that for loop with done. We're going to have an exit status of 0 to make sure that the script actually runs correctly. We're going to make sure it's executable by everyone so that we can run the script. And now we're going to go ahead and run the script. And there you go. So it's actually showing on here that there are 46 users. And the 46 user is systemd core dump. Notice I'm number user 45. which is Kevin. Okay, come all the way to the top here. We have user 19 is equal to systemd.network. Okay, so let's actually see what it did to this file. Let's go ahead and cat/etsy/passwd. Okay, let's see what it did to that file. Okay, well, so there's a lot going on in this file, right? Let me go ahead and scroll up to the beginning of it so we can get a little bit better picture of what actually happened, because these don't have quite as much info to them. Okay. So we look at root, right? Well, before we do that, let's actually look at the very first user that was listed, which will be root. Okay, root equals 1, right? And then 2 daemon, 3 bin, 4 sys, etc. All right, so now let's go ahead and scroll back down. Okay, so what did it do? Well, we looked for that field separator, and the first one is immediately after root, right? So that told us, okay, stop here, print the first field. So the first field in this case was root. Same with daemon. It looked for that first field separator, which is going to be colon, and said everything before that's going to be the first field, and go ahead and print that for us, which is daemon, okay? Now, what did our for loop do? Well, it went through it, and it said for every time we do that, name, assign it to name. So say user is name, but what we did is we added 1 to n each time, but we also set it equal to n, okay? So we started with 1, so n equals 1. We went through the loop. Then we said, okay, well now n equals 1 and add 1 to that, which made n equal 2. So user 2 is equal to the second name here, which is daemon. And then before the loop finished, it said, okay, well now n equals 2. Go ahead and run the loop again. And then it made n equal to 2, and it added 1, so it's 3. So user 3 is, and it's the third one here, which is bin, and so on, all the way through until there was nothing left in this Etsy password file. And then the loop finished, the for loop finished, and it exited out, okay? So it's actually a really handy way, really nifty way to use a for loop to actually see the number of users on your system, as well as what the user's name is on your system.